All right. And we are live. Hello, everyone. Let me just check settings real quick. Looks good. All right. Audio looks good. Video looks good. Hope everybody is having an amazing Sunday so far. We're going to jump in here in 2 shakes. Just like to give it a few seconds to allow people to come on in. Close out a few things. Welcome, everyone. Oh. Hang on 2 seconds. All right. Good to see everyone. We've got Mystical Parody, Amy, Morgan. Happy Sunday. Hope everyone's weekend is nice and relaxing. Last weekend before the holidays. A lot of really great questions so far. Loving this. Hi, Amy. Hello, RR. Kelly. Hi. Oh, this is going to be good. I am doing really well. I hope you are as... Oh. Oh, no, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Excited to get started. And you know what? Let's go ahead and jump on in. Why not? We've already got a number of questions, as I said, and we've got 70 people now. Number keeps jumping, so and definitely more will keep coming in. Yara, hi. Let's go ahead and jump in. Yes. Again, welcome you guys. Thank you so much for being here, for joining another Sunday edition of Live Q&As where we hang out. We talk about the law, and as always, I'm here to help clarify these teachings and answer your questions, anything that you're curious about, so that you have better understanding and ability to apply this in your life. A couple of quick things to announce before we get started. For those who may have missed it, I am currently having a promotion right now on my workshops and masterclasses, workshop bundle, all of that. You could check out in the description box below. Also, for any more information about my resources, working together, anything like that, you can definitely get more information. A lot of people have been asking about one-on-one coaching, and that will be opening up again this week after Christmas. So if you are not on the wait list and would like to potentially work together and kick off this new year on the best foot possible, go ahead and get on that wait list below for more information. You will definitely be receiving the step-by-step how to get started. And without further ado, I believe that's everything. You just double check. Yep. Let's go ahead and jump on in. Hey, Missy, so from all your experiences manifesting people, once you got into the state, did it come true within months for every time you did manifesting for people? Good question. So specifically in regard to other people, once in the state, would it manifest within... I mean, majority of the time, yes. I'm trying to think if there was any time that wasn't the case. Typically speaking, although I want to put a disclaimer on here, I hesitate to talk about the time frame of things because I don't want people to get an idea in their head of like how long it's supposed to take. It is going to vary for everybody. And I know it's something that we really want to try to observe, engage through other people and what their time frame looks like. But your best way of measuring, your best way of knowing the time that something's going to take is based on how you are feeling, based on how you are reacting, based on the natural thoughts that come up in the day-to-day in regards to what you desire. That is going to be by far the best way to tell what state you're dominantly occupying. Because the time that it takes is directly proportionate to how natural it feels for us. So, are we noticing double mindedness? Are we noticing doubts, fears? And not to say that that's going to derail things, but the more that we make it feel natural to us so that it just feels like a normal expectation, really, that's your best way. Hmm. Hi, Missy. I've heard people say go with the flow. They say if you don't feel like to do the work such as sats, affirmation, revision, visualizing, then you shouldn't force yourself to do them. But what if I always feel like not wanting to do those works, even after taking a long time break? There's lots of persistence. Maybe in this case, I shouldn't go with the flow then. Maybe I should push myself a little, or in the way that there's only going to be more, or in that way, there's only going to be more resistance. What's your opinion on going with the flow? This is an excellent question. And I've recorded a video about this. It's not going to be the next one coming out, but I have just finished recording a video talking about this, uh, going with the flow. Because to be abundantly clear, effort and force are going to be like a repellent. Like, this is not something that we can operate through willpower and sheer force of will, like trying to make ourselves do it. If it feels strained, if it feels exhausting, if it feels like we're about to burst a blood vessel, then we want to ease up without question. That being said, that being said, does this mean that we don't ever go into the wish fulfilled or we don't ever go into sassive visualization? Well, no, of course not. We cannot expect change if everything is remaining exactly the same, right? So there's going to be natural resistance to this because as humans, we're naturally resistant to change. It really, the human ego does not like change, even if it is desirable change, even if it's change that we know would be good for us. On a subconscious level, to some degree, there's going to be some resistance there because change is the scary unknown, and the ego hates the unknown. So what we want to be, I guess the word would be disciplined, in that when we are in a relaxed state, we really want to practice utilizing these methods in a relaxed state. So that's why one of the reasons why it could be helpful to use this before bed or waking up in the morning. Those times when we're naturally relaxed, at least more relaxed than maybe in the middle of the day when things are hectic and crazy. Um, when we don't have any distractions to worry about and we can just center ourselves, ground ourselves. But I mean, that's not to say that it has to be in those times. You can carve out time in the middle of the day for things such as meditation. And yeah, we do want to, practice or motivate ourselves to do just that. Again, that is not the same thing as like forcing it. I hope that clarifies. But you can try to offer yourself a reward system, right? Give yourself a reward if you know complete 5 minutes of meditation. I know that sounds so cheesy, but things like that can really make a difference. So it's really about the discipline of like committing to this practice once in a relaxed state, not trying to bulldoze your way through any resistance and fight yourself, which is a sheer way to wind up exhausted and burned out. Yeah. I hope that makes sense. Mm. Mhm. I love seeing the interactions. You guys are so good. Good morning, Missy. I've been working on manifesting the impossible desires, and something incredible happened. A revision scene I imagined played out exactly as I envisioned, but without the physical appearance change I wanted. The people in the scene said how beautiful I was and couldn't believe it was me, yet my appearance didn't change as I had imagined. Any tips? Wow. Wow. So you got the reaction from others. You haven't seen the physical changes, but you gotten the reaction that you imagined? That's incredible. So in that case, kind of what that points to me is that there may still be, and again, I know with physical appearance, the tricky part is that we're always, not always, but many times during the day, oftentimes we're catching a glimpse of ourselves where we're constantly being reminded of, maybe the features and the things that we don't particularly like. Um, so that can cause a bit of double-mindedness, or it can be a challenge. Let's just put it that way. It can be a challenge. So I mean, the fact that you're seeing the reaction but not the physical appearance, I mean, I guess I would really then focus on, if you are able to, what I would approach, or how I would approach this is focus on seeing yourself in imagination in front of something like a mirror or a window or something, where you're catching the reflection and really taking a look at the version of you that you want to see. When we are visualizing, ideally, we want to be imagining from first person point of view. So I understand that in scenes where you're hearing people congratulate you or compliment you, you may not be able to see yourself particularly. I might be wrong on all this. I don't know all the details, but typically speaking, maybe you're not seeing yourself in those scenes, in those revised scenes, and this way you are. If that makes sense? Basically, what I'm trying to get at is make sure that you are envisioning and really seeing yourself with it, in this case, a reflection of exactly how you want to be. And then it's just a matter of anchoring into that. And as much as you are able to, I know it can be a challenge again, but as much as you're able to, aim to avoid the temptation to look or anything like that. Yeah. Yeah. And I do have it on my list to make a video about manifesting appearance changes. So keep eyes for that one as well. Hi, when you personally manifest, do you think about your desire throughout the day, or do you just visualize that once and then go about your life? Oh, sending love from Arkansas. All much love to you too, Morgan. When I do I visualize throughout the day? Honestly, I don't really use sats a whole lot. Well, there's not a whole lot of things that I desire specifically at this moment in time. I mean, naturally, that's probably going to change as it does throughout life. But I'd say about 80-90% of the time, I'm utilizing something like "Isn't it wonderful?" So I'm more focused on capturing the mood, capturing the feeling, like, anchoring into that feeling of gratitude and satisfaction are primarily the things that I try to always keep my attention on when in that drowsy state. When I was doing much more sats and visualizations, I would say earlier on, I would take more time and imagine things throughout the day versus more recently. But I think a lot of that also has to do with trust in the law. Um, I've definitely noticed, at least for myself, a correlation between, as your faith grows, the ability to just imagine once, and then once felt, once accepted, knowing that it's done and there's nothing left to do. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to do that or try to force yourself, because detachment is not something that we can do by force. So the idea is, if you catch yourself in the day, throughout the day, you know, wanting to return to that desired scene, maybe you're feeling a little bit anxious and you want to soothe yourself or you want to calm yourself and then go experience that again. That's totally fine. That's totally fine. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. I'd say either of those ways, there's no right or wrong there. Yeah. A lot of questions about persistence versus dropping it. And I understand that that sounds like a complete paradox. It's not, but another question here. If you affirm or visualize every day until it manifests, is this okay? Yeah. Did you ever do this yourself? I have. Some say to drop it because if you it, some say to drop it if it happens because it happens when you don't want it anymore. Sorry, I'm a little bit, maybe, yeah, a little bit confused there. It's early over here. Um, yes. So again, detachment will come naturally when you reach the place of the Sabbath. Once you have planted that seed, so to speak, left that subconscious impression, you will naturally reach a place where you'll feel inclined to drop it. You won't feel moved to do it anymore. It will feel like redundant. The thought of doing it will feel kind of pointless because it'll feel like it's done. It will then there's nothing left to do except, go about your life. Um, but naturally, if we're noticing things coming up for us, if we're perhaps still noticing doubts or maybe going a bit back and forth, things like that, then absolutely we want to continue to redirect ourselves back to that state of the wish fulfilled. So it's both persistence and detachment. It's persist until you reach the Sabbath or the state of the wish fulfilled, and there you will be naturally inclined to drop it. Yeah. Alright. Missy, I've seen people say after 3 years of no contact, they did visualization for 21 days and then it happened. Why do they get it so fast? Did this happen with your SP? How soon was yours? I mean, it can certainly happen quickly. Yeah, yeah, and I've absolutely my story was similar. My story was similar. I mean, not exactly as you described it. We were, I think, in total of no contact for about a year. Um, but even when we did get back into contact, it was very hot and cold. And I mean, I have my SP video, my SP story up here on YouTube if you were curious about that. But it is absolutely a thing that we can, because regardless of the time that it's been, it ultimately doesn't matter. None of that matters. Each moment is a brand new start. It's a brand new slate. It's a blank slate in every moment. That gives you the opportunity to select the state that you do want to experience instead of what you don't, right? So, like, once we have that realization or once that clicks for us, and we instead start selecting from the state that we do want to occupy instead of continuing to go back to what we don't, it can happen quickly. Yeah. Missy, the first time I spoke with my SP after a while of imagining the end with her, my heart almost jumped out of my chest from anxiety and excitement. Is this normal or a sign I'm doing something wrong? Mm-mm. I mean, I wouldn't say you're doing something wrong. Uh, I mean, plenty of instances where people have been excited. I wouldn't necessarily say that's a bad thing. I would absolutely keep going to the end, regardless, until it feels just natural and normal for you. But no, I wouldn't say that that's a bad thing at all. Not at all. Mm. Missy, I'm at SP's now. He went to his son's wedding. I wasn't triggered. Looked at photos, not triggered. Having dinner now, and he's invited me to his ex to Christmas Day for dinner with his son and his mom. But I am staying focused. Francesca, that's it. That's it. Keep your focus. Keep the focus. I love that for you. Oh, Merry Christmas indeed. Good. Is the key to just get back into your state long enough for it to manifest in our reality. Yeah. Yeah. That's the long and short of it, yes. Get back to the desired state, and we want to occupy it until it becomes physical reality. Yeah, exactly that. Hi, since everyone can manifest, does that mean that someone can manifest something bad to happen to me? Mm-mm. I mean, not unless that is an assumption that you hold. But by default, can other people, like against your will, manifest something bad for you? No. Mm. No. In your experience, in your reality, the world that you're seeing and viewing through your eyes, you are the operant power. Now, we have the ability to give that away, and oftentimes we do it unknowingly, out of fear that someone's going to do something bad or something bad's going to happen to us. That's effectively us giving our power away. But by default, nobody can do anything to you unless that is the natural assumption that you have. So, yeah, no, you're good. You're good. Y'all are so damn sweet. Oh my god. I can't stand this. I love it. Sneaky Nugget? Why is that the cutest name I have ever seen? Where the hell was I? Hi, Missy. If we are in the state, do we need to visualize? I manifested my SP back after almost a year of being blocked, and it's still unfolding. Oh, Merry Christmas to you. Is being in the state enough, or keep visualizing? It's really how you feel. If you're feeling like there's no need to do it, if you're not feeling moved to visualize, you don't need to visualize. No. If we are in the right state, if we are in that state of the wish fulfilled, there's literally nothing left we have to do consciously except trust the process. That's that's literally it. Trust that everything is unfolding for you perfectly because it always does. From that state, it has to unfold perfectly. Yeah. Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. Hey, Missy, I went ahead and tested the law and manifested everything I had on the list. Awesome. But now I'm trying to manifest things that matter to me. But now that I'm trying to manifest things that matter to me, there's a voice inside me, inside my head that goes, but that isn't what my life is like. That's just a fantasy. That isn't the life I am living. What do you suggest I do? Ignore that voice. That voice is fear talking. And this is the most common thing in the world. I've made videos talking about this. That's the voice of doubt. It's just our fear. It's not it's not inherently true or real or accurate or any of that. We may believe the voice in our mind because we've always identified with it, but that's not who we really are. That voice is not who we really are. That voice does not hold power over you. Yeah. Yeah. Because when we move on to things that are more significant, things that we care about, then you're talking about attachment. We have attachment to these things. So now there's weight and gravity. If we mess up, it feels significant. Um, yeah, it just feels like there's more potentially to lose here, and that can bring with it all sorts of anxiety and fears. Yeah, yeah. But the reason that we are testing this law, the reason that we are building our faith is so that we are not at the mercy of that little voice in the back of the mind anymore. Because if you know and trust without question and with full conviction that the law of assumption is real and that you are the operant power, nothing will be able to stop you. Nothing. Where was my spot? Missy, can you tell me the fastest way to manifest a desire? Do I just visualize, then go about my day and not think about it again? Um, I mean, if you are able to, that is going to be tricky because everyone's going to be different. As in, what your natural beliefs and assumptions are, if there's any double-mindedness, your faith in the law. Um, it's gonna vary. The way that you imagine, because people imagine in different ways. Some people are more visual and they visualize very well. They have clear images in their mind's eyes. Some people are more auditory. They hear, inner conversations. Um, and others are intuitive, more feeling associated. So it's what is the fastest way definitively to manifest? The way that feels most natural to you, the path of least resistance, whatever that looks like. Mhm. Yeah. And that once we have imagined and felt it to the point of realness, once we have sort of elicited that response within us, that seed is planted and it's done. That being said, if you are noticing, maybe a little bit of wavering or uncertainty or fears coming up, that's just feedback. Feedback to go back to the end. Yeah. Hi, sweet sloth. Welcome. I ask because the imaginal acts are said to take us to a place of calmness, excuse me, and the wish already having been fulfilled. That's why it felt strange to feel so much anxiety when talking to her after them. Yeah, and I mean, typically speaking, The state of the wish fulfilled, it is a state of calmness, generally speaking. That said, we might notice some excitement. It I remember, I mean, hell, to this day, I still get excited because the law is amazing. I'm still just absolutely amazed at what is possible. So whenever something comes to pass, I still get that feeling of just complete awe is the best way to describe it. Um, so no, I mean, I would ask myself, like, is this anxiety stemming from old story? Is it stemming from fear? Or am I just excited to talk to this person? Excuse me, frog in the throat. I mean, either way, if you are uncertain, then definitely let yourself keep going back to that end so that you do get more accustomed to it and so that it will feel more and more natural. And yeah, and you'll feel that calmness around it. Mhm. But I don't want to say that you're like doing something wrong or failing at this. 'Cause it's normal. It's normal to feel human emotion sometimes. Good lord, look at all the questions already. Sneaky Nugget. Oh my god, I love your name. I love your username so much. Hey Missy, is nervous system regulation an essential? For me it was. For me it was. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you have probably seen recently. I kind of dive more into my backstory and how I found the law, and I, I used to be an anxious mess. Really bad anxiety, really bad depression. So, and I do have a video coming out about this, by the way, about manifestation and the nervous system. Uh, because in my experience, at least, it, it, trying to manifest something desirable when we're in fight or flight, I mean, those are two separate and too much contrast. Too much contrast, which is also why I do always recommend first helping to get ourselves into a more relaxed state and then going into the imaginal act. Like once relaxed or once more grounded, or at the very least, once feeling more neutral, then go into the imaginal act. Yeah. Is I know one of the things that I was doing was I would get triggered and then I would get fearful of that trigger. And then I would try to like desperately affirm or just like try to fight to get out of that state. And it just kind of sucked me down more and more. So yeah, we want to avoid that. Oh, oh, Ashley Marie, I'm sorry. I didn't see a question there. Hey, Missy, I'm finally revising on the spot instead of spiraling. Good. When I when I revise, I empty my mind and go into neutral gear and re-remember the event how I would have liked it. When I do, I have some serious anxiety about negative thoughts. Thoughts oscillate, and finally, positive takes over. I relax and accept it. Is anxiety normal with revision? If so, does it get better with practice? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's normal. And yes, it does get easier with practice. But oh, where'd your question go? Okay. No, that's perfect. How you described it, yes. I love to see it. And especially with revision on the spot, that may absolutely take a little bit of practice because the natural instinct or the natural reflex, once triggered, is to spiral. Um, so, I mean, the fact that you have, come so far as to be able to actually, instead of spiraling, get yourself to pivot, and revise and reimagine until that calm takes over, that's amazing. That is amazing. I love that. Yes. How do you manifest your partner not wanting a breakup and actually being committed in our relationship? Mm, um, damn it. Yeah. What I would do, I would come up with a scene that implies exactly that, or an affirmation, whatever method, whatever way of imagining you use is totally fine, but something that is being implied that the two of you are already together. So I'm not sure if it's marriage that is the ultimate desire here, but I mean that would clearly imply commitment, right? I don't think you can get more committed than than marriage. So perhaps a scene where you're celebrating an anniversary or you're looking at your wedding ring. It could be something as simple as that. Yeah. Toasting to each other, but something that implies that the two of you are committed, that he's here, he's not going anywhere. You could imagine him telling you just that. But ultimately, we want to make sure that it's just keeping our attention on what we ultimately desire and not letting yourself ruminate and get too far lost in, yeah, in that old story. Oh, I love you too, Yara. Let me see. Merry pre-Christmas. You as well, Jamie Kate. Sophia, you've got a good question. Hi, it feels better for me to say this is going to happen rather than it has already happened. What is your opinion on future tense affirming? I mean, honestly, the most important thing here is the feeling. The most important thing, all the techniques, affirmations, visual, it doesn't matter. They serve the same purpose, and that's to help you capture the feeling of certainty. The reason that we always recommend and talk about going to the end is because that implies without question that you have already received your desire, right? So it's not going to be you in a state of anticipation. It's not going to be a state of waiting for it because it's already happened. That's the feeling that we're going for there. That sense of relief, that sense of feeling secure, feeling calm about it, no longer anxious around it. So, I mean, ultimately, if you get to that feeling, however you get there is it's ultimately, yeah, it's irrelevant. The only thing that I would say is just being mindful of that state of anticipation and waiting. That can be sneaky. Mm, I mean, as much and often as we can, we do want to go to the place where it feels done to us. It feels like this isn't inevitable for us. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Anastasia. Thank you. You are sweet. Merry almost Christmas, Missy. I've noticed that I'm still struggling to ignore the 3D, but it's also like it doesn't affect me as much anymore. I can shrug it off, hoping this is a good sign. Mhm. Yeah. Excellent. Good. Mhm. Yeah. Our reactions do tell us a lot. Our reactions can I mean, that is a huge gauge that we can use. Not to say that, if we do have negative reactions sometimes, like, that's okay, that's normal, but if we're noticing progression, if we're noticing that we're not as triggered or responsive to the outside world as we were, that is a really good indication. Yeah. Hi, Missy. When I started deliberately manifesting 4 months ago, I saw major progress, but now nothing since 2 months. Like everything came to a stop. What can cause this? Mm, boo. Um, yeah. Typically speaking, this happens when we've let our attention wander too much in the 3D again. So the reason that when we're first getting started, like we've just found out about this and it's all brand new, you know, in some cases, at times, there's not as much attachment there, so, yeah, we're kind of, like, we're just playing with it, and we can see a lot of progress. We can see a lot of things happen in a short time because of that more, like, nonchalant attitude around it, but then we start to get attached to the outcome. We start looking more to the 3D, we start becoming more observant, like waiting for it and then wondering why it's not happening, if it seems like it's slowing down. We're getting caught up in the 3D again, basically. I'm not saying definitively this is what you're doing, but this is normally what causes like a partial manifestation is when we go from inner direction, like imagining in the wish fulfilled, to getting caught up out here. Yeah. Oh, ugh. Hi, Missy. How do we approach insecurities in regards to an SP? I imagine it as ideal separately, but also know I am loved unconditionally. What do you think? Excuse me. How do we approach insecurities in regards to SP? I imagine it as well, I mean, definitely the loved unconditionally. Yes. I guess I'm a little bit confused as I imagine it as ideal separately. So when we're dealing with insecurities around an SP, number one, it's feedback. There's a belief, there's an assumption that we have that we are holding on to, and if that's the case, we wanna recondition that belief. So that's kind of the entire objective. No matter what we're aiming to manifest here, the objective ultimately is the change in belief, the change in assumption. So if I'm feeling very much insecure about my person, if I'm feeling like they're, you know, too good for me, or maybe they're out of my league, or whatever the case may be, then I just want to instead imagine myself as already being the person that is confident, is secure within herself, knows herself, loves herself, right? And that's where my focus and attention is going. That's where I'm directing myself. That's what I'm doing. Yeah. Is no one to change but self here. Hello, Victoria. Happy Sunday. Good morning. How to detach when emotions are running high. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Um, in that moment when emotions are running high, I mean, first, like if you are able to, try to redirect to something that feels maybe more ideal or something that feels more enjoyable. But if it's something that feels like it's nagging, it's constantly coming back up. If the feelings are really, really strong, honestly, in that moment, the best thing that we can do is let ourselves cry, let ourselves be upset, give ourselves a minute to process. because the alternative is suppression, which, I mean, I know that that's kind of a human defense mechanism. And in the short term, suppression can work great, but ultimately it's not going anywhere. Um, so, I mean, the first thing is, if we have to, just let it out, process. Uh, but as soon as we're able to, we do want to ground ourselves. We do want to help get ourselves back to center. So that can be in a myriad of ways. If you have exercises or techniques that you have used before to help with alleviating anxiety, or, breathing exercises, you know, laying down, scanning your body, releasing areas of tension, somatic exercises, moving the body. I mean, there's that kind of like physiological response that we can do to help get ourselves more centered and off the roller coaster, so to speak. I know it's really difficult in that moment when we are feeling very high emotions, and we want so desperately to not be feeling those emotions. Um, I know that's when we want to try to like make it stop and like try to force it, but we want to curb the temptation to suppress it. Yeah. Yeah. And then just as soon as you are feeling a bit more centered, as soon as you are feeling a bit calmer and back to, back even just neutral. We don't need to be flying high or anything. Even once you're just back to neutral, then we can introduce revising it. We can introduce getting ourselves back into a more ideal state. I hope that makes sense. Ugh. Hi, Missy. Is doing sats for the sake of doing sats, not thinking it's necessary, but still doing it, letting go of the worries, or however you would want to call it? I mean, yeah, we will. If we're doing sats for the sake of, because we enjoy it, because it feels good, that's ideally the approach of it. Because sats feels absolutely amazing, right? And it's not necessary to be 1,000% clear. It's not a necessity, but doing sats for the enjoyment of it is absolutely, yeah. In my personal opinion, one of the very best ways to get to the end. And in fact, I do have a video coming out either tomorrow or Tuesday going in more detail about that. Tell us about inspired action. Good question. This is an important one. Inspired action is going to be unconscious action. That's going to be an action that you take that is going to lead you through the bridge of events, but we're not deliberate about it. You're not going to consciously force it. That's not to say like, "Oh, I'm feeling inspired to do this thing." Like, you're not going to know that you're on the bridge until hindsight. You're going to be able to look back and see, yeah, that was totally a bridge of events, but as it is unfolding, you may be none the wiser, and most likely will be. Yeah. So inspired action is the action that is taken to get us to that end, whatever that looks like, whether that's action that we take or someone else or something else. But it's not something that we're trying to consciously manipulate or force. Yeah. Where is chat's little jumpy? 1 second. Oh, weird. Um, where was I? Sorry, guys. Sorry. How do you get rid of anger and resentment when you're revising for an SP? Yeah, this one can feel tough. I know. I know. When I went through and revised most of my life, when I was really going into my long-term background, um, and I was faced with people that I had a lot of anger and resentment to. It can feel challenging because there's a part of us that does not want to let go of that anger as a defense mechanism, and we don't feel like it feels like we're doing ourselves a disservice or it's an injustice to let go of this resentment for this person, and and that's completely valid. Like, to be clear, it's a normal and healthy and valid thing to feel. However, my realization and what ultimately helped me to transcend that was understanding that holding that resentment and that anger was doing nothing but harming myself. It was not keeping me safe. It was not, you know, giving me that sense of vindication. It was only harming myself. There's that age old saying, holding resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It is, yeah, yeah. Um, so going through that process really helped to give me clarity on the things that I needed to, and I was able to get to that point where I could revise. Also, the understanding of everyone as you pushed out, and I know that that's where it becomes a very, very challenging pill to swallow. But ultimately, what helped me was the realization that I did not want to hold this anger anymore. I did not want to hold this resentment. I did not want to be a resentful person. I I wanted to let go of all of that. And I knew that if I wanted to be the person that I desired to be, that I had to. So I know it's tough, but that's also I am glad to hear that you are revising because that is exactly how I approached that as well. Yeah. I love your guys' interactions so much. Can you please do more hypnosis for SP and self concept? I can. I do have some guided meditations that, well, a couple of them I have been working on for a minute, but I, that's on the list. They're coming. Hello, Missy. Do I have to be completely healed to manifest my SP? I feel that is perfectionism rather than unconditional love. Yeah. Um, no, and that's also conditioning. I need to be completely healed before I can manifest my SP. Um, no, I wouldn't say that that's a necessity. I would continue to go to that end. Like, whatever that desired version of you looks like, those aspects of you that you want to experience, the version of you who maybe feels more confident, more at ease, feels more gratitude, whatever that is, whatever that looks like, I would continue to go back to that state. But do that for you, not not for your person. Not for your person. Yeah. And this is not about being perfect. because as human beings, we're not perfect. That's literally the point. It's literally the point. So, yeah. I had a weird experience. Not sure if it's a bridge unfolding. I had a meditation, an inner conversation where a friend told me SP told her that she misses me and wants to reach out. The next day, they went out for dinner, but 2 weeks prior, that friend told me she wasn't too fond of my SP and effectively said she hates her. Not sure what to think about it, but now I feel impatient. Oh. If we're noticing feelings of impatience, which is normal, to be clear, it's totally normal. But in that moment, at least in that very moment, we want to take that as feedback that perhaps we want to direct ourselves back to that state of the wish fulfilled, right? Um, I mean, this could very well be a bridge unfolding. Again, we're not going to know until hindsight. I would naturally assume that everything is unfolding exactly how it should and how in its most perfect form it is unfolding, and just keep it there and go back to the end if you are feeling perhaps like that waiting or maybe a little anxiousness around it, which is normal. Hmm. Hi, Misty. If SADS is done correctly, does it turn into a wake-induced lucid dream? Into wilds? Is that what they call it? The wake-induced? Yeah. I mean, yes, it feels that way. It feels that way. And I'm actually going to be talking more in detail about SATs in my next video because unfortunately, for the majority of people, we're not approaching it in the most effective manner. Um, but yeah, if done correctly, it should feel like, well, Neville described it as like a controlled waking dream. And I would say that's pretty accurate. Like it feels very much like you're there and this is happening. You're no longer in your bedroom or wherever you were currently, wherever physically you were. It definitely feels like you are in it. So yeah, definitely check out the video I got coming out. Oh, thank you, Sanvika. You are so sweet. And it is good to see you here. Hi, Missy. Quick question. How do I manifest that I passed an important exam when the online results is already posted, saying I failed it by 2 points? Thanks and happy holidays. Good question. I would revise it. I would revise seeing that. You know, even if the online results is already posted, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We want to practice not getting caught up in what the 3D is telling us is like fact and final. Because if I had $1 for every time something appeared to be final changed, I mean, that alone, I'd have more money than Bezos. Don't accept the outcome as final if it's not what you want. Revise it. Revise it. Hi, Missy. I've been reading about the pearl of great price, and my question is about crystals. I don't believe that crystals can manifest for you, but I think they can aid you in meditation. What do you think? Good question. Yeah. Well, the pearl of great price is essentially saying that your beliefs and assumptions are the bedrock of what manifests. So if If you hold the belief that crystals aid you in meditation, then that's going to be the experience that you have, right? Um, Not that the crystals are objectively doing that. I hope that makes sense. But essentially, it's your faith that the crystals are aiding you that is giving you that experience, not the crystals themselves. And not that I'm saying that that's, you know, wrong or whatever. Um, but the point that Neville was trying to make in the Pearl of Great Price is that we need to sell our old beliefs in external sources, that we derive any kind of power or that there is a power from something external from us. Yeah. Missy, what does your husband do when you go live? Does he play his guitar? Sometimes. Right now, I can hear him working out. Sundays are usually our lazy day. So, actually, to be playing guitar together late. Playing some guitar later. He's teaching me right now some lessons because he's been playing since like 1998. So, needless to say, I got a little bit learning to do. It's crazy how much movement I saw when I really realized and prioritized my 4D inner world over my 3D. Yes, Angie. Yes, 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 that's it. Yes, that's the entire basis of this. Prioritize the inner world, prioritize the world in imagination. It will astound you how quickly things will move out here when we stop giving all of our focus and attention to them. Can I manifest that I recovered from a toothache without going to the doctor, or mine cannot do that? I mean, if to be clear, we can imagine and manifest anything. It ultimately doesn't matter. That there is no circumstance where that is off limits. Period. I mean, it if you are noticing a great deal of pain and struggle, I don't want to tell you to sit here and suffer. But if the question is, can we manifest something? The answer is always yes. Always. Oh. I'm seeing videos lately about how manifesting is gaslighting ourselves by ignoring the 3D. I'm confused because we create from our imagination, so how is this gaslighting? Yeah, no. Um, the argument there sounds like because we're trying to lie to ourselves, which is not what we're doing here. To be abundantly clear, don't try to lie to yourself about about what the 3D looks like. I made a video talking about this fairly recently, and I don't remember the title off the top of my head. Damn it. But it was basically talking about ignoring the 3D and what that actually means. It does not mean to try to like delude yourself or convince yourself that what you're seeing in the 3D right now isn't real or isn't. We have physical senses. The physical senses pick things up and tell us, like, this is what is currently happening in our 3D reality. We just don't need to accept that as final. We just, because as humans, we have the tendency to do that. We think, oh my God, because this happened, that means this is, this bad thing's going to happen, or this is going to continue to go wrong, or we we make assumptions about the future based on what we are currently experiencing, and we don't have to do that. We don't want to do that part. This is not about lying to yourself. This is not deluding yourself. This is not being delulu, as they like to say, kids like to say these days. So, no, this is not about gaslighting yourself. This is about understanding that ultimately it's to imagination that we want to turn if we desire to see the 3D conditions different than what they are at this moment. Um, when it comes to my SP manifestation, I started to have an approach like, whatever, it will happen. Great. If not, that's also okay. Can it be the Sabbath? Excuse me. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Ultimately, the feeling of neutrality, is that what you're describing? I mean, it certainly sounds like you're in a more detached place right now, which is good. Mhm. Thank you, Amrit. Thank you. Is deleting social media a good idea or is that avoidance? Um, well, it depends. Are we finding ourselves constantly reacting to the social media? Is it triggering for us? I mean, in that case, I mean, I don't know if go as far as say you need to delete it. But even if there are certain people that you need to mute or give yourself at least a temporary pause, I definitely recommend social media detox. Just getting the hell off social media for like, I don't know, a week will do wonders. But really, the question is, how often am I noticing myself reactive to the social media? Yeah. If it feels like the right thing to do to take a step back, then I would. So when my family asks about my SP during Christmas, what do I say? We're not even talking right now. Do I tell them the truth and revise when I go to bed? I mean, I would. I would. Or you could just say like, I don't feel like talking about it right now. Yeah. I mean, I don't ever encourage people to lie. It's not necessary to do that. Um, but whatever the interaction, I would revise it later. If it's a conversation that is not ideal, absolutely, I would revise it later. Yeah. Merry Christmas, Sarah. Thank you. Hi, Missy. I feel like the more I affirm and attempt to do sets, the less I believe my manifestation is possible. What am I doing wrong? How do I fix this? Oh. I mean, what you're describing could be that there's too much effort, putting in too much effort, too much force and willpower. There's a whole chapter in Neville's book, The Power of Awareness, in which the chapter's called Failure, where he goes into detail about the number one reason that people don't see their manifestation come to pass or miss the mark, basically. And it's basically due to effort, too much efforting, too much forcing and pushing and straining. Um, if that has been the approach, I'd pump the brakes on that. Yeah. How do you manage oh, how do you manage patience and the impulse to check the 3D, i.e. social media? Sometimes it seems uncontrollable and I cave, even though I know that this is the opposite of living in the end. Yeah, yeah. And to be clear, no guilt, no shame, because literally everyone has done this. I don't care. You can't tell me otherwise. Everyone has done this. Everyone has checked the 3D. Everyone's had a weak moment where they caved. It happens. We don't beat ourselves up over it. But we do want to remind ourselves when possible that we're not going to find anything by searching out in the 3D. We're not going to find the answers that we're looking for from that state. From that state, if we're feeling anxious and desperate and impatient, we ain't going to find anything good out here. Turn to here. Yeah. It's still tentatively the 25th, but I will confirm that no later than Monday, no later than tomorrow. Hi from snowy Salt Lake City. Welcome. Missy, I've been manifesting my husband back after a traumatic breakup. The meditations help, but what is the proper way to work on revision to stay in a good state? Uh, that is a really good question. I mean, there are there's actually a myriad of ways to apply revision. It is a very versatile tool. If you want to check out the last video that I made talking about revision, it came out a couple weeks ago, so not terribly long ago. That could be a good place to start. Really kind of diving into like the different methods and application, and maybe working with what is best for you. But I would say most importantly though, like regardless of how you apply revision, I would, in cases that feel like there's trauma or there's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of emotional charge wrapped up in it, first practice getting yourself into an even keel state, getting into that drowsy state even. So practice with going into sats first. Yeah, definitely check out the last video that I made on revision. I don't remember the title off the top of my head, but if you type up in the search bar Missy Renee revision, you'll see it. It came out literally just a couple weeks ago. Hi, Missy. Does your hubby also practice the law? Yes, of course. I never shut up about the law, so he is also very much a follower. And he's on a Joseph Murphy kick right now, actually. How can I change my self-concept to the way I want it to be? Every time I'm seeing myself in my head as a beautiful being, it causes resistance in me. How to work with my own assumptions about myself? Good question. And this is the $1,000,000 question, because no matter what we desire to manifest on the outside, it really does boil down to changing our conception of self, changing the self-concept. Always going to be the priority no matter what. So everything that we are doing here, every technique, every method, every All of that is for the express purpose of changing that self concept. The imaginal acts are to shape and recondition our subconscious mind, like what is being accepted subconsciously. That's that is the entire premise. So we change our self concept through our creative power, imagination. Our imagination is the tool that we have that will allow us to select another state, will allow us to select another experience and feel something different than the undesirable things that we have experienced thus far. So, how to work with my own assumptions about myself? Again, I would say path of least resistance, utilizing your imagination in a way that feels most natural to you. I would definitely not overlook getting into a drowsy state, getting into the state akin to sleep. If you are noticing a lot of resistance, my video that I have coming out uh, should be tomorrow, might be Tuesday at the latest, but the video I have coming out talks about why this is important, why Neville stressed the importance of SATs and sleep, and the reasons that it can, especially if there's a lot of resistance to what we're imagining, really don't want to overlook SATs. And I know a lot of people have struggled with that technique, but with clarity and understanding and practice, you will see incredible change rapidly. So, yeah. Mm, Merry Christmas and the New Year be filled. Oh, thank you. Happy New Year and Merry Christmas to you as well. Hi, Missy. Really working hard to get rid of anxiety. Tried antidepressants, but had to quit because of side effects. How to regulate nervous system reaction to the 3D. My body got used to this bad anxiety. Uh, I am so sorry. I know how frustrating it is because I have been there. I have been there. Yeah, nervous system regulation, especially if you're somebody that has, always had anxiety, battling with trauma. There is a lot of importance that can go into nervous system regulation and just finding ways to help, like, shut off the physiological responses to stress, that fight or flight response, shutting off the cortisol and adrenaline, right? Um, because from that state, it's going to feel damn near impossible to imagine something lovely or something relaxing or nice. Um, I do have a video coming out about this. I've recorded it. It will be coming out soon. I'm talking more about manifestation and the nervous system and the physical responses that we have. Um, but and I'm not sure if there are any methods that you are using explicitly for that regulation. If you are using breathing exercises, somatic exercises, anything like that. Um, but I would definitely be exploring that world. I would be exploring different methods because breathing exercises are so simple that people often overlook it. Like, it sounds too good to be true. I will swear on breath work, and just that alone, as far as the ability to shut off the fight or flight response, will do amazing wonders for you. Now, I know everyone is going to be different in response, but first, play around with different ways to help get yourself into a more grounded state. And I'll have more exercises and things of that sort in that video coming out, but yeah. I know. Hang and take advantages of the moments where you do feel okay. That's the other part. Instead of trying to, you know, instead of waiting for like once we're anxious, we tend to try to go really, really hard with this. No, we want to take advantage and really go hard with this when we are in a more relaxed or even neutral state, even just feeling neutral. No, hang in there. Hi, Missy. About feeling chosen and the best. My mind tries to rationalize me. Why would I think that? What's the best way to feel chosen and best? Good question. So, in that case, I would be, and to be clear, the rational mind is something that we do not want to take any mind, like we don't want to give it any attention, any mind. It's the in the Bible, Satan is the metaphor for this right here, the rational mind, the logical mind. That's Satan of the Bible. It's a deceiver. It's lying. It's speaking from old fears. It's not actually speaking from logic. It's speaking from fear. It's just the ego talking. Now, I know it can feel difficult in that moment to not accept that. It can feel difficult to try to detach or feel unmoved by those fears and those rational thoughts, but ultimately, it's just fear talking. It's not real. um, about feeling chosen, what's the best way? I would, and it's going to be different for everybody, but I would construct scenes or imaginal acts that imply that you are chosen and what that would look like for you, and allow yourself to get creative with it. Like if you were now able to step into the version of you that was always chosen and prioritized, what would that look like? Like, you were the one who always got the promotion at work. You were always the one that got, the first class treatment. You were always the one that received gifts and assistance whenever you needed it. Like these types of things that would be implying that you are chosen, you are prioritized. So, I mean, if it helps to make a list of these kinds of scenarios, these events or these imaginal acts that would imply that you are chosen, go ahead and do that. But we want to continue to go back to how that would feel, right? So when we imagine and we have that experience in imagination is going to elicit a feeling. That's what the subconscious mind captures, is that feeling. And I'll be going into that again, be going into that more in the video tomorrow. But the best way to feel chosen and best is, again, different for everybody, but how it resonates with you. So any way that will help you to resonate with that feeling is the right way to do it. Are you able to manifest multiple things at a time? Yeah. Yeah, we don't have to limit this to one area or thing at a time. No. Mm-mm. Because we're always manifesting multiple things at a time, right? Hi, Winter. Welcome. Hello from Florida. If you've manifested a desired event with your specific person, can you manifest another event with your same specific person? Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Absolutely. You can manifest whatever you like. There's no limitation. How do I know if I'm in the wish fulfilled state or I'm just too lazy to do so? Uh, Tammy, I love the honesty. I mean, you'll know that you're in the wish fulfilled state because you're going to feel, when it comes to your desire, when it comes to what you want to experience, you're going to feel at ease. You're going to feel natural about it. It's not going to be any sweat off your back. You're not going to notice anxiety or doubt or questioning or double mindedness. It's going to feel like, yeah, yeah, that's a given. Like, think about something that you already know right now to be true and certain. It could be anything, anything. Something that you know right now is true and how that feels. Might not even really feel like anything as far as like emotions are concerned, but it is a knowing. Yeah, if that if that feels like that's not the case, or maybe you are still going back and forth, you could just be too lazy to do stats. Which is, I mean, again, that's normal. It's human. Procrastination and distraction are two of the ego's greatest defense mechanisms. So that's normal. What to do if we aren't getting results from testing the law? Good question. Drop it. If I take it you mean for the smaller things, the so-called smaller things, like making a list and all that. Uh, we're not getting the results because we are looking for them. We meant maybe not even consciously, but if we are aware, if we are observant, we'll find ourselves like trying to take a peek, see if it's there, see if I can find it, or we're constantly observing the absence of it. So going back to, I'm not seeing any results. I'm not seeing any results. I'm not seeing anything. Well, what is that going to manifest? More of not seeing it. So that's why I stress the importance. If we're going to test the law with those so-called smaller things, we got to drop it, because that's when it will show up. It will show up as soon as you stop looking for it. Ugh. Excuse me. The path of least resistance. Yes. Yes. Hmm. Hey, I'm manifesting my SP about 6 months. I cannot detach. I feel like I'm obsessed. No movement was there. I know I will marry him. How can I move faster towards it? And I know this one is tough because I think most people on an SP journey has been here. That feeling of like, I can't detach, I can't let go. If I turn my attention away, I'm going to lose them, or I'm going to. But there's a contradiction here, because you can't move any faster towards it. You have to allow it to happen. It's not something that we're chasing to get. And if that's the approach, we're going to be chasing a very long time. Definitely. Damn it. I wish I remembered the. I'm terrible with remembering the titles. If we want it to come faster, the way is to imagine and allow it. Imagine to the point where it feels more natural to us. And by that, I mean, we're no longer anxious about it. We're no longer feeling obsessive about it. It really is. We're not doing this to try to get something in the 3D. We're imagining to change the way that we feel. We're imagining to change us. So maybe it is just a different perspective that we need to look at here, just shifting the perspective and saying, like, this is not about me trying to get him, because the state of you two already together is already in existence. You don't need to chase it, but you do need to occupy that state. And you do that through allowing yourself to have that experience in imagination. Basically, also, you can detach. You can. That's fear talking. But this is not about trying to get, this is about becoming the version of you that you desire to be. Period. End of story. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Missy, I've tried doing sats. All I can remember is that I think of the wish fulfilled and I am off to sleep. I don't loop. I end up falling asleep. Well, that's not inherently a bad thing. I mean, the point of sats is to take that feeling of the wish fulfilled into sleep. So it sounds like that's what you're doing. The video I have coming out it addresses more of that. Do you have to take action to manifest? No. Deliberately? No. Mm-mm. Ashley Marie, you've got this. You've got this. Happy Sunday on a Sunday afternoon. Hope you are doing well. Thank you, Mohammed. You too. You too, sir. Good to have you here. Happy Christmas and best wishes for 2025. Thank you. I'm curious about nightmares. I've been doing all my inner work and I know it's working, but every time I have or remember a dream of my SP, it's always fear-based. Mm-hmm. And just to be 1,000% clear, that this sometimes does happen. Sometimes on this journey, bad dreams will come up. It's like anything else, dreams can be feedback that, perhaps there is still a fear surrounding this circumstance or this person or attachment to something that may have happened that was upsetting. If that's the case, I would revise it. I would revise the dream and whatever you feel like might be at the root of those dreams. Yeah. All right. Got time for maybe one or two more questions. Hi, Missy. I still want SP, but my dominant thought is I don't care if it comes or not because if not him, somebody better will come. Is this neutrality a lack of faith and does not caring unplant the seed? I wouldn't. I wouldn't say that that not caring uproots the seed. I mean, definitely sounds like you're in a state of detachment, which um, does not caring plant the seed. No, not inherently. Not inherently. And in fact, a lot of times that is the feeling that people describe before their SP shows up. A feeling of whatever happens, happens. I'll be okay no matter what. That's been plenty of instance for the people that I've talked to, plenty of times. Um, yeah. It probably feels very different because it is, which can maybe leave us feeling uneasy or, cause uncertainty there. But what uproots the seed more than anything is, well, fear. So yeah, no. Oh, thank you, Ashley. You are sweet. You are very sweet. A lot of people talking about intrusive thoughts coming up. Notice a lot of questions about intrusive thoughts. I have made a video going into great detail about how to navigate this. Um, and just serving as a reminder, you're not your thoughts. There's no reason to fear your thoughts. The thoughts themselves do not hold the power here. And if you're noticing a lot of intrusive thoughts coming up and you're noticing a lot of fear surrounding the fact that intrusive thoughts are coming up, definitely check out that video. Just search up in the type bar, Missy Renee, stop fearing your thoughts. It'll pop right up. But in short, you will always be you, that is the observer of your thoughts, is always going to be more powerful than the thoughts themselves. We do not have to give power to our negative thoughts. It's not the thoughts that that's not the creative power here. Oh, thank you, Vivian. Kelly, and I'm really happy to hear that you're no longer feeling anxious or impatient. That it is such a relief. That alone, just being out of that place where there's just so much tension and anxiousness and impatience, that is freedom. That is freedom. That right there. I'm really happy to hear that for you, Kelly. Can you explain the Sabbath rest? Absolutely. The Sabbath is the state of it is done. So it's to reference, the day of rest when there's no more work to do, as in we're no longer feeling like we need to do techniques. We're no longer trying to manifest. Not and we're not feeling any need to continue to go to the end because it feels like a done deal. It feels like this is already mine. It's already certain. So there's nothing left to do. The thought of doing sats or any affirmations or any technique is going to feel very redundant and pointless. That's the Sabbath state. It feels like this is it. It's done. It's done. Oh my goodness. And I'm looking at the clock, and unfortunately, this is where we do need to part ways. But I want to thank you all so much for being here. Another rendition of live Q&As. Wonderful questions today. Really great questions. My sincere apologies if I did not get to you, but rest assured I am here every Sunday. So I hope each and every one of you have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas, a beautiful holiday ahead. Take care of yourself. Much love to each and every one of you. And I look forward to seeing you all very soon. Bye, guys.